prone to doing. And this one caught my eye because I've been planning to do some Express ones and stuff recently. And
can you remind me really quick? I know that there is this thing called S3 Express. Now that you mentioned Express, and then
Express
it's like
One Zone. Please get the full branding correct. Now,
I'm sorry.
As Corey Quinn loves to point out, AWS is absolutely shit at naming things. It's called Express S3 Express One Zone, which is the storage class, I think. But what we're really talking about are directory buckets, which can only work in Express One Zone. I don't actually know if Express One Zone is, you can only put directory buckets in it, but I see Twitch is paired. It says it's connected. It says we're streaming. I don't know. But anywho's, so this issue caught my eye.
This wouldn't be something that AWS is trying to do something as delightful as Blob v2 with hierarchical namespaces. Which was just
maybe.
Never mind. Just fun all around. We need to deal with it in Azure. So.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
So this caught my eye because anytime, like, I was like, oh shoot, is Express One Zone a slightly different, nuanced S3 API, which AWS has done? Glacier, as an example, Glacier is its own special thing. Not Glacier Instant Retrieval. Again, where AWS excels at. So there's there's Glacier Instant Retrieval, which is S3 compatible. There's Glacier Deep Archive. And then there's another one. There's like Glacier Colder, Faster, Deeper Archive. Like there's 2 tiers of Glacier that are not S3 API compatible. Anyways, so directory buckets. I was
just looking at the URL, because I know that there was some special case handling. I don't know, it doesn't ring the bell with Express routes, but there is this like virtual domain style hosting, blah, blah, blah thingy.
So the trick is a Express One Zone bucket has this really cute tail on it.
Yeah, and this seems to be a path component, which was something that we luckily did not need to deal with.
We don't have to worry about it. But Ian thought it was a object store issue. It is not, it turns out. I created a directory bucket and I tried it out. The thing is, you have to tell object store that it's Express One Zone. But then it gets better. But then you get an actual bug, which is expected ordered contiguous commit files, blah, 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 kernel, blah, 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 blah. So list behavior is different with the directory bucket than it is with a normal S3 bucket.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That reminds me of... So we do have some special casing for listing with hierarchical namespaces enabled. Because that returns kind of those subkeys. And then now it seems, but the good news is, well, I don't think that it's good news, but we already have some special handling because also a file system is not guaranteed to return ordered results.
We being Delta RS or we being kernel?
We being kernel.
Well, would that special baloney be in the
that would be in source, the file system, file format implementation, file system, yeah. There somewhere you should see if scheme equals file. Yeah. And essentially this says we do or don't have an ordered list.
Lazy bones. This is not the... I'm going to go set kernel on fire. This sucks.
Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it.
File is not the only scheme where you're not going to be guaranteed. It's also not scheme dependent.
Yeah. I mean, it's not scheme dependent. I think the main reasoning was saying that for Azure, AWS, and GCP, we so far have been able to rely on the fact that they do in fact return ordered results. And by now, I think even the offset thing is documented. Okay.
Of course, but let's look at the comment hack.
Nobody likes this.
Let's. There's only 3 hacks allegedly in Kernel. I mean, let me go back to that. So this was in Kernel. I don't have a strong agenda for today. I just have the very hard 8 a.m. stop. File system, a default file system. So I was just looking through. I was just looking for trouble, actually, if I'm being honest. That's what I was doing. I was just looking for trouble. So if we have ordered lists, has ordered listing, I almost feel like this should, part of the thing that annoys me, I think there's a reluctance to add API surface area in the default engine in the kernel. But like, this is a trait, there's got to be a trait and then a default, like an implementation that you should change or something to say that your listing is, but this is also list from impl. Like, this is gross. So I'm going to give Robbie Pack a little bit of a shout out. It's rare, I know. So Carly, be ready to clip this for future reference. But I think you actually did a really good job with the trait extensions in Delta RS. Like, I think that was an elegant way to add additional functionality that we needed around those APIs without doing a lot of back and forth with kernel, but without like introducing a lot of unnecessary boilerplate or hacks. I think those extension traits were really good. So.
Well, I have to admit now, I don't think, well, obviously they were not my idea. But yes, I did see stuff like this working nicely elsewhere. I think actually the...
Is this going to be another Andrew Lamb? Are we going to give kudos to Andrew Lamb?
No, I think it was like, for some reason, some result extension kind of made me click. There's stream. I mean, we obviously use TriStreamX, StreamX, yeah. Blah 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 blah. But I think it was some result extension that made it click a while back. That this might be, yeah. You can make this thing look like you want it to look in some places.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a fun one. I think. I mean, API wise. So the file system implementation has this contract, right? So file system trait in kernel just says you need to give me ordered results as part of the list from implementation. So I think we can probably try to, and maybe let me show you something that we do in Delta RS that's kind of in the same vein. let me call it that. But yeah, we need to figure out if an object store, and the challenge has always been when somebody else gives us an object store, we don't know if it's ordered or not, and object store doesn't expose any information on that, which is kind of the problem, right? So this implementation allows me to just give it an object store, but yeah, we have no way of figuring out if or if not that object store adheres to ordered listing.
Yeah, list paginated. This is not going to be. No. Yeah. Payload path, preview, blah, blah, blah.
And I mean, the fact the fact that it was on the file system or on the local file object store actually made it somewhat bearable, because well, you're on local file system, so you're still reading his stuff, but you're very quick about it, right? The fact that this is now happening with the remote store makes it much more annoying, because
annoying is a word I would use. The thing is, this assumption is wrong. Like, assuming that unless we know that it's lexigraphically sorted.
Yeah, I think
we have to sort.
We went through the documentation. So these stores,
like from Kernel has no idea what it's getting. So this hack thing, like, this is such an unsafe hack because it fails, like it crashes the client, which is what this user is seeing. Like, this is such an unsafe default.
I mean, in some ways,
I know it's ordered.
I do. So that engine, well,
should we just fork it? I have that on my to-do list. Do you just want to fork it?
I think we will. I have a DataFusion version not ready to be merged in Delta RS, but it's coming.
Okay.
I'm just saying, we'll be in the business, or we might hopefully be in the business of maintaining engines anyway.
We are,
and there's a lot of.
We're in it. There's no.
Yes.
The goals of Kernel are quite different, and.
Yeah. But what I meant to say is kind of the payoff, right? So Delta's weakness is the list operation, because you need to pay dearly for this. So. Having an unordered listing requires us to exhaust the entire list and then sort it, right? Which is so much more expensive, because we're in most cases, we're not even close to exhausting the stream. Especially if you have a long tail of things, right? You have a checkpoint, 10 commits ago, we find it, we're done. But then there is a million commit files after. And I feel like you might be one of those people seeing those kind of tables. And then
you say that like I'm in some minority. I think it's the majority of data lakes out there are crazy.
I'm just saying, it costs us dearly not to be able to rely on this. So there needs to be a So defaulting to the worst case is, in this case, hurting many folks out there, right? So I think there needs to be an API where you can supply the information, whether it's ordered or not ordered, and then we can supply some documentation rather than having it hidden in a hack comment saying for directory.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any way to make the directory bucket API give you lexigraphically sorted keys.
So why not just not use them? What is the advantage of a directory bucket?
It's different, so that's fun.
Thank you.
The reason I think people use them
really,
is
really well.
If you want to use Express One Zone, you need a directory bucket. The reason to use Express One Zone is if you think about your latency from an EC2 instance or from an ECS container, in terms of latency, you've got on CPU cache, then you get slower going to RAM, then you get slower going to local disk, then you get slower going to Express One Zone, and then you get slower going to S3 Classic, and then you get slowest like accessing EBS or not EBS. EBS might actually be faster, but EBS EFS is somewhere in there. But you basically get really fast storage. Like, there's a good reason to use Express One Zone. one of the things that I've been considering a lot is like, what would an automatic, like if you had an automatic Delta Lake where if you have a large table that is being queried frequently, that you're denormalizing that into express one zone, but bringing writes back to the original bucket, what that would look like, so that you had really fast, high performance queries for whatever you're doing. Because when you hit S3, otherwise, you're going across AZs. Like you're going across AZs in a way that introduces latency, and there's definitely valid data use cases for Express One Zone. Like Express One Zone was built for us, like people that work in data. It's not built for other people.
And I mean, generally speaking, that was just, I'm sure there was a reason, but the frustration with Azure to provide us so many nuanced differences in various versions of Blob, and S3 so far, in my mind, has been very consistent.
You have not been paying attention, buddy. We got S3 tables, we got S3 vectors, we've got directory buckets.
I mean, in the behavior they expose to us, the client.
Different access endpoints. It's no. You're living. You're staring at the cave walls with an image of S3 projected on it, and the reality of S3 is actually much more complicated. You've been very fortunate, I think, with Object Store. Like Object Store is a really good crate to where it does paper over a lot of that inconsistency.
Which was, I mean, that was the intent, right? We just wanted an Object Store API that just always looks like an Object Store API.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, C. C is not what your machine speaks. It is not close to the hardware. It is a representation of like what PDP-11 hardware looked like, but now just translated forward and forward and forward. And so it's a convenient abstraction that we all sort of believe works. Like it's fiat currency. Object store is fiat storage. If we all believe it works, then it's good.
Just have to believe hard enough. Yeah, absolutely.
So with this issue, you're definitely right. Like in the unordered listing, we do a try collect. That's what you're referring to, and that is going to slow things down. There's kind of no, like, you do have to collect the stream in order to sort it. What's actually interesting as I'm thinking about this is if you're going to express one zone for performance, but you sacrifice,
but you're not getting performance.
You can't do stream processing of the transaction log. I wonder if you actually get the performance win going to express one zone. Yeah, from an API standpoint, I don't know how to express this because it is like this list from Impl, like whatever, is fine, I guess. But there's a.
I mean, I think for this is completely engine side, right? I think it's fine that the file system, kernel's file system API just says, well, this has to be sorted. You sort it out how you do this. But Object Store ultimately needs to tell us whether this is something we can assume or not. Or ultimately the caller, we can also ask the caller, please pass in this argument, it's sorted or not sorted. I don't know if we can detect. Is there some way for us on the URL to detect if this is a express bucket?
Oh, yeah, very easily. But then we just get into this. Then we're maintaining a list. Then it's path scheme, where is that? It's or path.url matches. I'm not writing the right code, but XS3.
Yeah.
Or it would be the inverse of that. And then we do one more. And then somebody's going to come along and say, here's, is this HDFS on Alibaba cloud. Yes, and then we get into like it's just never ending special cases like Oracle Cloud. We'll put that. You know.
I want to say you're wrong, but you're not. We both know that this is.
Oh, let's give Germany some credit. So like, I actually think Hetzner storage is probably going to be ordered because it is German, so it must be very ordered storage. I'm not opposed to what does path look like? Path's a URL. If the URL, this is dumb, but I mean, so is this hack to begin with. So let's see here. Just to like, this is a pretty ugly failure in my opinion. So let me look at the URL again. Like, I really don't like having hard crashes going up to the Python layer to where you're just dead in the water. Where did my ticket go? So like, this is like, you get this tail, right? So if you have this tail, then your express one zone, and you get a slower log replay.
I mean, only the list, right? You're still reading all the log data later on. Yeah.
So where does this show up? This shows up in the domain. Matches? Is that a no match? No.
I think
contains. No.
Yeah, contains ends. You can do end. I think here ends with if we just use. No, I think it's isn't it host?
What does domain give us? Oh, it gives us an option string. Okay, that's why it's not.
But is it domain or host that we're looking at? Host is domain with port? No, yes. I don't know.
Ends with. Okay, so help me with the logic here, because it's later in your time zone. Okay, so domain is an option string, so we map that. So at the end of this, we should have an option bool that should be true.
So this is unequal file. So this is an and not that we need to do here. Like that, it's not file and also doesn't do that. At this point, though, I do, well, kind of if I were to write it from scratch now, I would probably do an or and then an outer not rather than having two negated comparisons.
Okay,
but it's the same thing.
So let's do a wager here. How many comments do you think this pull request?
I knew this was coming.
I'm gonna break this out into a function. I gotta be responsible. This is already silly. Like the fact that I have to like think harder than I like to think about this means I need to write a test. So test ordered. Okay. Well, actually, let's just no. Okay, so we need. I'm gonna do for you, and then expected in. S3 Robert wrap, that should be true. And then one zone. And that should be false.
And maybe add one with a trailing path.
These paths? That?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Expected. And then we need
I'm trying to think where else we have kind of, because there's a couple of things. I love this is one time where I feel the English language has the more fitting words, but those gifts that keep on giving, and object store. Anything related to path really is an all-time favorite. Encoding them, decoding them, using URLs, non-URLs. I don't know. Great fun. Using different prefixes, ABFS, ABFSS, AZ, all of this goodness.
We're just going to turn false to begin before. Okay, so we should have a test failure. Let's see if we do. Yeah, this was not what I expected to work on. I had asked you a question in the Delta RS channel. Do you think that delete problem, assuming we get a reproduction case, do you think, is that a correctness issue that warrants yanking a release? I haven't been following the work that you, Ian, and Ethan have been doing.
If this turns out to be so far we're not able to reproduce it, right? So we need to figure out what happens. If in fact we're not performing the correct operation, which is a bad thing. The good news is we're at least not removing data that we shouldn't be removing, which somehow I feel would be worse. But it does leave the table in an unexpected state that it shouldn't be. So from my end, we could yank the release if this turns out to be the behavior. Because, yeah, if you delete something, you expect it to no longer be there. And I, as a user, would expect if I say delete, that stuff actually gets deleted.
Yeah. I also would expect that. Okay.
I do not remember, but I think there's other stuff we want to get out on main already, right? We wanted to do a 4.0.1 anyway.
1.4.1, I published that already.
Ah, okay.
That had one bug fix. I didn't want to wait for more stuff.
We want to get, especially bug fixes, I think. Why wait, right?
Yeah. Yeah, releases, I don't think there's a...
yeah.
I can't remember. How do I get out of the... There we go. No. Crap, I can't remember how to get out of it.
Which one?
I'm stuck,
Oh, yeah,
trapped in my terminal.
I think this is, let's say, the most common thing that stops people from adopting Git. It's if they're doing their first commit, get thrown into Vim, and then just have no idea how to ever close that thing again.
Oh, you can't compare bool to bool. Interesting.
Why should you be able to?
Like, why is this not? What? Rust, what are you doing? Like, that's so silly.
It complains about the references, just I think.
Yeah, but that you can't compare a reference of a boolean with a.
No. Somewhere, and I don't remember what it is, but somewhere I did read about why that is, because essentially they were saying, okay, on your end, you just need to reference or dereference one of those. But on the other hand, Rust would have had to do like a bunch of work to make this I can auto dereference stuff work. I don't remember what it is, but there was somebody who made a convincing argument. At least when I read it, I felt like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And that's all I remember, that warm, fuzzy feeling of agreeing. Yeah.
You're like, yes.
Yeah. This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, this sounds about right. Let me do that. Maybe. So if we have a file, we'll just do this a URL scheme. If our URL scheme is file, well, not characters, but then that's our logic right now, right?
Yes. Well, is this a not unequals file? I didn't. It's pretty small, so it wasn't. Oh, that's just dirt on my screen. It looked like there was a little thingy in front of the part.
Okay, so some of our tests should fail, and then we're going to add, well, everything's going to fail because it doesn't like to. Silly macro.
But I think sometimes it does it without the format.
Yeah, I can never remember.
By the way, I've been looking into so my world of how Rust should be written looks more or less like what DataFusion, what Arrow, whatever
Interesting. I'm so surprised.
I've been working with Cedar lately. It's a fairly recent policy language from AWS.
Ooh.
And AWS does a lot of Rust by now, right? And somehow, at least in those Cedar crates, and that may also be because it's like those super out of this world security researchers that wrote this kind of stuff. But they kind of, I can't quite put my finger on it, but they have like a different way of writing Rust, and I find it interesting, intriguing.
Yeah, that's maybe not the word I would use, but there's a lot of their stuff that comes from their generated SDKs. They use Smithy to define what their APIs do, and then Smithy is what actually generates the AWS SDK crates. And so every AWS SDK crate is generated through this Smithy stuff. And so they all look the same. They're all these like fluent builders with like input builders, output builders. And it is an interesting choice.
Yeah. I mean, in this case,
I don't know that
the Cedar crate, I think, is custom written. Well, no, I know it's custom written. But still.
Here, it's on this S3. Which? Where's my freaking test results? Okay, so the S3 on Robert. Some domain. Why did that fail? So that's it. That should be an ordered listing. What the heck? This is why we write tests, because simple logic is tricky to get. Expected true on URL. That means we got false there. So if I have an option bool, I need to return true. We want to unwrap or false. I think that's what I want. This might. Let's cross our fingers. Daumen. Hey, I'm capable of simple logic. Okay, so this is gonna fix that issue. Now we just have to use that. Man, I'm struggling to use my computer today. Supports ordered listing. Let's go up to that. This should maybe be a hack too. Anywhere we're checking the URL scheme, I'm like, oh God, this is probably a hack. So supports ordered listing, and we're gonna put this on a thing called path, even though it's a URL. I'm gonna remove this hack. That's probably gonna generate some comments. It's been moved. What's the point of this clone if we've moved the path in here?
Well, I think oftentimes
that's silly.
No, we're doing no. I think no. So when you do this inside some loop, and then you move that thing into specifically async closures, but into a closure where you need it again.
It's because it's the loop. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to. What was this called before? Has ordered listing.
Yeah, I always do the same thing. Minus instead of equal. It's one of my favorite.
Minus
anstatt gleich.
Let's format this. Run our test one more time for good measure.
But isn't this? Sorry.
Is it what?
I thought in line 158.68 that was a minus, but it's an equal sign, yeah?
Is it equal? Probably. Artifacts.
Okay.
Oops. Okay, what else do you want to do today? This was not what I intended on, but I'm like a moth to the flame with bugs.
Yeah. Essentially,
you want to merge one of your many outstanding, and I mean that in both ways, outstanding pull requests. So we got.
I mean, the migrate optimize. You left a comment on that one. I think that is addressed. Well,
I looked at it this morning, and I thought maybe just like tests needed to be redone. But
okay, that's.
These were the ones. Didn't we talk about these? These were the ones that we couldn't reproduce locally. These Z order failures.
I need to remember. Yeah, I mean, obviously tests need to pass before we can merge anything.
Yes.
Let's at least keep that up. I thought they were passing though, but yeah, they're not. So no, we can't merge that, but we can talk a little bit about kind of what our way forward could be. And I did start adding more and more issues.
Issues? I saw one.
No, it's at least 3. With sub-issues. Epics.
I saw the epic.
But somehow I think we have to finish that migration and then look.
We need a Rust crate release, and I thought I was going to have to wait for these to do that.
Well, I can at least fix the optimized one. The right one. Oh yeah, there's that. Well, I need to see where we are. Well, there was one thing with the I called it imputation, but apparently that's not a word.
No. Impute is a word. It was just not the right word.
So what do I do if I do something in order to provide missing data that's not there?
Well, there's imply and infer. It depends on the directionality.
All right. So
I think what you're referring to is inference. You're inferring
so right
something
now,
from other data.
When we do schema migration and there is an additional column, an additional struct column that's important, what you'll get is you'll get a null on the root, right? The struct field will just be all null.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
And that's at least, I think that was at one point. Now you get a struct full of exactly field level nulls. And that translates to nested stuff, by the way. If you happen to add like a complex nested column, it'll have the whole structure all laid out in its beauty and just every field value being null.
All right. I need to get a bigger disk for this machine. I can't have a DataFusion build and kernel build at the same time because DataFusion just spews symbols everywhere.
Yeah, I spent longer than I want to admit in a Docker build, but there I just needed to give Docker more space, but it was always sick kill. I'm like, what's killing it? But yes.
Lex, I gotta look at I don't know how to spell this.
I think Lex sorting is good. That's why.
Well, I had to I have the documentation open on one screen. So it's RS issue. Which issue is this? This one.
No.
All right. There we go. Look, what's the point if you're not having fun? Have fun with it.
True.
So all of this run, and Let me check this pull request out. This is actually probably where my working state was this morning. I was like, what fucking branch am I in? I don't know. What am I doing here? Because it'd been a few days since I had done anything. So I was probably trying to reproduce this issue because we had talked about it. 4134. Like, there's something about these Azure builders, something special. I don't know. Not special good.
Okay, but that's, yeah, this is, I know what this is.
Is this a race condition?
No. And this may be in need of some merging, right? We did some new session handling, but as we migrate the operations, we're also dropping the use of, we have this kind of special internal object store when we use DataFusion. So since DataFusion only discerns by domain, by host, right? So you cannot register multiple stores for the same host. Since our store used to be, we used to need it that this was a scoped store, right? So the prefixed one, prefixed to the log. We registered that store under a special URL. Yeah, we registered it under a special URL. But we don't want to do such silliness anymore and just register the root stores essentially. So this is what's happening here. Somewhere we're using the wrong update session method. But that one should
I mean, that's really silly.
Yeah. But it's also something I'm struggling with a little bit.
Like emotionally?
Because so what's my thinking here? In an ideal world, and I don't know if we'll ever get there, but in an ideal world, we would just take whatever session we're getting and using that to resolve the query. I do find it a bit strange that we register new resources, i.e. object stores and stuff like that, during execution even, right? Since we could do this maybe during planning, but that we're registering new stores during execution. And those may or may not get replaced on different runs. Well, somehow I believe we should help people set up their session, but use whatever we find on the session. Sorry?
It's reproducible.
Yeah, that one actually, I mean, let's look at the into future stuff. By the way, that one I learned from, you were complaining about the Azure SDKs. Well, that's exactly where I learned it. They were all like, yeah, into future is stabilizing. Let's do this. Let's go.
Sure, why not? Impl into iterator. Where's my into? There's my future.
So somewhere we're creating a session.
Resolve session state. This. What is this code? Session as deref, session fallback policy, and then a closure that will create session for, dude, what the?
Yeah, we have this is.
I look away for like 2 seconds.
So Ethan wanted a more defined way how we fall back when there's no session, and not just create one ad hoc.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's why that's there. But ultimately, maybe search other resolve session state session other invocations of that function.
Resolve session state. It's just this one spot.
We're only doing
Into
this
feature.
once.
Well, in this file.
In other operations, because we just need to copy and paste whatever follows it.
Session states. Another operation. Merge. That ensure. I'm guessing it's this. State. Ensure log store registered.
Actually, this is the one that registered the old one, like this hacked store. But we shouldn't need this in this PR. This should be like update DataFusion. There was one with update DataFusion session.
This monster that I asked you.
Actually, the second one we never need. We should never need both. But I can fix this in another PR. This ensure log store stuff, this is something we do want to get rid of.
This is going to return its session and state.
No, this is session is state.
So this should be a session here.
Yeah. It's kind of DataFusion session implementation is called session state. The trait is called session. The method on the context where you get the session state, i.e. session, is called state. So this is why it sort of naturally happened that session and state were used interchangeably when it comes to language.
Crazy. Wait, am I not? You have to write it. Okay, if this fixes the tests, I'm gonna bump. I don't want to bump the version in this pull request. We gotta bump the version, but I'll do that in a separate pull request. Because core needs to go to 31. Because we have some incompatible things that would come in after this change. Look at all those logs.
I was going to say it looks daunting.
Yep, so our integration tests. Very fast.
Yeah, those two, idempotent and idempotent multiple pins, take some time, but it all dwarfs compared to the build time.
Ayo. Okay. Appropriately.
So we have about 3 minutes left, because you did leave a comment.
We have about 0 minutes left because I'm going to go to the bathroom before my next meeting.
Oh, okay.
I've fixed 2 bugs. Well, I won't count this as a bug. I've fixed these tests. I feel pretty good about that. Good job. The Express One Zone thing, we didn't place bets on how many comments. We can do that in Slack.
Yeah.
That one's going to take.
Did I don't know. Do you know? Did the kernel release go out?
0.19.2 went out a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe this will. Oh, I got a failure here. Or is that just code gov? No, I got a failure.
Cargo format.
God, you pedantic son of a. Okay. So which file is that in? That's in default. Kernel. Where am I? Kernel source engine default file system. I gotta go. Thank you so much, as per usual.
Thank you.
I don't think I actually committed that. And
Yeah.
we will chat more on Slack.
We will. Yeah, thank you.
Let's take bets on this one. Thank you very much for the time. Thank you, Carly, for hanging out and